Right, so in today's video, it's a discussion about this lawn up at the top. If we just have a look at it now, it's looking absolutely incredible. The sun helps, the sun always helps to make your lawn look a little bit better than what it does. But just look how dense it is, look how green it is, look how nice it's looking at this time of year. At the time of recording, it's the first week in April, and you can just see from the sward right over the top how healthy and how dense it is looking. This time last year, I made a decision to completely change the grass variety. I decided to go from having a ryegrass lawn up here to going with a bent fescue lawn. And at first I was faced with a little bit of criticism really on this channel, where people have said it's not going to work, you've done ryegrass wrong. But it was never about that. What it was always about was, you know, when this was rye, it died back completely. I'll show you some footage now on screen of what it looked like at the back end of March last year and at the start of April. And it looked an absolute mess. And even when it did start to grow and I just gave up cutting it, it looked like it was dense, but it wasn't. It was just really, really long, because ryegrass has a shed ton of vertical growth as opposed to lateral growth. But this is testament to how incredible your lawn can actually look with doing, you know, very minimal things to it. With Fred over there just loving life in the garden, loving the sun. Gone are the day when he used to dig holes in the garden. Thank God that's, you know, something of the past. But even if he does, this lawn is going to be able to recover. And you know, I was the person before I went with Ben Fescue who said, you know, I like getting out and doing a renovation, I like overseeding, I like doing all loads of things to it. And you know, some of those things I'm still going to have to do at times. I might need to overseed the far side a little bit over there because it has gone really, really thin. But this space was really, really thin this year. And in terms of what it's had on it over the past 12 months, it's had true grass as its only feed, and then it's had a product called Integral, which is a liquid feed. I'll be showcased on this channel in the next few weeks. Comes in a massive monster tub, but that was just used as a colourant to make the grass a little bit darker. But I went in with 2 feet. I went with, you know, using true grass, using a colourant, and literally doing that. That's all it did. And you know, over the winter it did struggle a little bit. I think I aerated it a little bit too late. Sometimes I see comments where people say I'm either being paid, which I'm not, or they say that it's some sort of conspiracy, which it isn't. Or they say that, you know, Ben Fescue isn't a native species, or if it is, so is ryegrass. But ryegrass isn't. Ryegrass is a relatively new plant. It has a reputation, I guess, for being hard wearing because you can overseed it and the seed's going to come through fast. But this is a sward that's going to work for you. If you go to any golf course, it's bent grass. There'll be bents and fescues because they creep, they fill in. They're obviously putting seed down every so often at a golf course, but they can't just rely solely on seed. They need a sward that's going to take care of itself with the right kind of maintenance. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't me bashing ryegrass, because I've got some ryegrass lawns out at the front and they look amazing. But what I've learned sort of in the past few years is that any grass can grow in the sun, in a really sunny area. Any grass is fine. If you get rye, if you get bent, you get fescue, regardless, whatever you chuck down, you're going to be fine. If you've got a shady lawn, or you've got a clay soil lawn, it's just not as easy as whacking any seed down. Companies sell these seed mixes where they say, you know, shady grass or quick start or whatever it might be. And it's just a way to kind of get you to buy that seed at a particular time of year because you've got a particular type of lawn. But all it means is that they have grass varieties in there that are more tailored to surviving in a shady space or in quite a tricky area. But really all that means is you're whacking that seed down, they're going to fight amongst themselves to see which seed type is going to become the most dominant. And often it can be the creeping varieties, but sometimes there's not as many of them in there to be able to be as effective. In the winter there was a time where I thought this lawn isn't going to come back. I thought, talking about, you know, this lawn not even being a lawn anymore, whereas if we get right in, again, we've already done this, but if we get in over the top, it's the true test of a quality lawn. You can see we absolutely do. Yeah, I've mowed it with a cylinder mower, but you can buy one of them for 100 quid, even less, and give yourself a decent space. Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. They can have the problems like any lawn can. This lawn is the perfect example of that. It doesn't look nice as it is. These yellow spaces are where we've killed off some weed grass using Roundup. The bare spaces are where we've actually pulled some with a fork, and you can see we've got a little bit of seed that we've chucked down. I know some people are going to go, aha, there we go. See, you're not going to need seed. However, that is part of an experiment we're doing at the moment. These patches have seed on. The ones on this side don't, and we're seeing if, do we need the seed? The ones with the seed are obviously going to come through and it's going to thicken the sward back up, and that's going to be great. But the ones without the seed, that's what's going to be most interesting to see. Will these patches start to fill themselves in without any intervention? Why waste our money every year when we don't need to? I get it if you're working for yourself, if you're like a lawn care fella who's going around doing people's lawns, you're gonna have to chuck seed down, you're gonna have to top dress, you're gonna have to do all these renovation things because there's loads of different lawns out there. But if you're just a homeowner who is sorting your lawn yourself, you're doing your own things to your own space, then stop buying lots and lots of different products because you really don't need to. One product I have put on this, which I haven't yet spoken about, is iron, but you can buy a tub of the powdered stuff, which is a much higher concentration than the premixed liquid, and that's going to last you not months, it's going to last you years. So it shows you that lawn care can be simple, and if you want to get yourself a lawn that looks like this by doing some very basic things and following some really basic advice, then subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to put in green, then yeah, maybe there might be a little bit more work that goes into it, and I get that, but for just a general lawn, just keep it simple. And I know some people are going to disagree with the advice that I'm giving, and I'm not going to be sold down the path, and that I completely get that, each to their own. And if ryegrass is working for you, then the same thing I'd say is, why would you change? If you found something that's effective and beneficial, then stick with it, because again, that's all that gardening is really about. So yeah, as ever, the Instagram is in the description below. I've got more than just lawn care. We've got stuff like regular gardening things with these bulbs, stuff that goes well, stuff that doesn't go well, stuff to do with building planters and raised beds and other little bits as well, how to edge your lawn, loads of different stuff. So it's all on there. And yeah, finally, thanks for watching.